The SMITE Pro League has always been a league of legends. Every year, the players in competition improve and get stronger, and Season 6 would be no exception. This year, the league moved everything local. The big show broadcasted live from Atlanta every weekend. Players leaving everything at home, now literally, to be the best player imaginable. 28 weeks, a true test of strengths. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and Team Rival were the first out of the gates. Only losing one match in their first half, Rival were the pace setters. Every team had started looking up to what they were doing. With the mid-season break came a mid-season tournament inviting the Pro League and some sneak previews of other notables, Sanguine from the minor league, and even a surprise performance from Console Native's Hype Unit. Renegades take the tournament with a burst of steam and continue that into the second half of the season. Joining them in a neck-and-neck race would be Splice, the defending world champions, finally coming into form. The season standings would set the table for the week. The SMITE World Championship. 2 more teams will join the fray. Sanguine, the Latin American team from the minor league, and SK Gaming, a team on the cusp of greatness. The table is set, and the marathon is about to come to a close. One last sprint, and one last question. Who is the SMITE World Champion?
Well, folks, that was then. This is your SMITE World Championship, and taking the stage, Team Rival. CaptainTwig's been to every single land. PolarBearMike is the leader, and the team will take the stage, but will they take the trophy? One more time for Team Rival. Their competitors representing Latin America, it's Sanguine Esports! Multiple different countries, multiple different languages. Haddix representing, well, Michigan. Everyone else, Uruguay, Chile, etc. Give it up one more time. Say vamos and hola to Sanguine! Fantastic stuff. Our competitors have taken the stage. Team Rival versus Sanguine. Kelly, this is going to be bombastic.
For match number 1 of the day, the story that we said a little bit earlier, David versus Goliath. And Eonic, this is something that I want to talk to you about because, unfortunately, Luminosity Gaming lost to Sanguine. What are your thoughts of them as a team? How are they able to dominate the placement rounds?
Yeah, not only does Sanguine have very strong individual players, but they also just work so well together as a team. They have a really amazing ability to game plan something and then stick to it. They're a very well-coached team.
Zeros, what are some of the things that you want to be seeing out of Sanguine here to potentially take down Rival?
I don't know. I think Sanguine looked really consistent through placement week, and they drafted really good. And when Haddix played really well in the solo lane as well, like I just want them to have like a solid draft.
Well, it looks like we're already getting into picks and bans of game number 1, everyone, with Hell and Amaterasu being banned on Rival and Sanguine side, respectively.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see the Hell ban here. Hell's kind of been a staple ban for against Sanguine. Sheento's probably one of the best Hells in the game, so that's going to be, I think, banned every game in this set.
A lot of people are afraid of Hell because she's a healer, but Sheento, and we might see some from Paul later with SK, they play her offensively, like aggressively, full power, and that scares the hell out of people. So good ban here coming out from Rival.
The first set of bans coming out here, and no surprises for the bans so far.
No, I think the ban for Sanguine pretty like the strong picks, like Jorm was so strong at placement week. Expect to see that one. Persephone ban for Sanguine side, though. Kind of surprised to see that one. I think she might be a bit overrated.
A lot of people were talking about that during placement stages. I mean, when you talk about these top-level players, you're playing ranked, she's banned. You're scrimming, she's banned. You're on SPL games, she's banned. So what's the percentage that they actually have a Persephone is a real conversation.
Yeah, having Persephone is interesting because it's kind of a risk. Do they have a Persephone player? Do they not have a Persephone player? In Sanguine's case, they definitely do have Persephone player. We saw it from Sheento at the placements.
Merlin and Xing coming out for Sanguine here. What are you expecting that we're going to be seeing from Rival now?
I'm very excited to see the Xing Chen. A big question people were asking me coming up to this Worlds was, what's the sleeper god? What's going to be Xing Chen? He is going to be all over this tournament. Mark my words right now.
Ooh, looking at Rival right now. Thor and Serqet, and then finishing it off with Freya to the sky.
This Freya pick is actually interesting because it's one of Netrioid's preferred picks as well. So maybe they're playing it because they think it's a strong pick. Maybe they're playing it to take it away from Netrioid.
I know you can do that.
And just a reminder, this is the placements patch, not the current patch you're playing at home. So that's old. That's new, old. It's non-reverted Freya. So it's a weird ball pick for sure.
Yeah, it's just the early pressure from Freya right now, I think. I think pressure in this meta, at worst, I think we're going to see a lot of early pressure. And even though Freya got nerfed so much, she's still so good level 1. Outpushes everyone and really good at fighting, so.
And in all of Freya's iterations, she's always been a specialty character. If you've got a good Freya, no matter what your favorite tier list says, your Freya can just be good enough, and I think that's what we see here out of Rival.
Yeah, I really like these first 3 picks out of Rival because they're kind of all flex picks except for the Freya. Freya could go ADC, she could go mid, it's most likely ADC. But I don't really see the Thor going to CaptainTwig. I think it's going to go to fineokay.
I agree there. The one question I do want to ask you guys is the Freya. A lot of times we talk about taking it away from the opponent and doing yourself a disservice. Is that almost... Can Rival play Freya, is the question.
Yeah, I think Arkkyl has always been really good on the magical ADCs. I prefer him on the traditional hunters, obviously, like the Ullers and such, but he can definitely play a Freya and Kronos at a very high level too, so definitely for Arkkyl, I think.
Well, speaking on that note too, them picking away Freya from Sanguine, does that mean that Rival is concerned about Sanguine? Are they taking them seriously? Because we've seen Rival at MSI lose to a minor league team before.
Yeah, Rival has actually been a really strong top team, but they've gotten upset quite a few times. They actually lost to Armada at MSI, and they lost to us, Luminosity, at the time we were last seed. So Rival, I think, is really going to do their homework here. They don't want to get upset again.
Xbalanque now being picked out for Sanguine. Last 2 picks for Rival 0, so what do you want to see here?
Yeah, just about the Xbalanque, I think it's a little bit weird. Well, Netrioid loves the Xbalanque, but he played it against Streak Up on Simplicity at Placement Week, and he got demolished in lane. They did end up winning that game, though, but like, really rough early game. And as I've mentioned, I think early game is going to be really important here. So
I think that's what the Achilles is for. If Achilles doesn't wind up in the short lane, Achilles will be able to carry through the early and the mid. Neith and oh.
Well, that team comp, Ionic, what do you think of Rival's comp right now?
I mean, this is just kind of a classic Rival comp. Lots of different gods could go lots of different places, but I'm thinking it's going to be Hebo jungle, Neith mid.
We're ending it up with Erlang, Shen, and Sanguine here. Zeros, if Sanguine wants to take a game off of Rival, what do they have to do with this comp?
I think Sanguine has a really standard comp. They have a lot of CC, they have a lot of damage, like 2 really strong late game carries with the Merlin, Xbalanque. While Rival's comp is a little bit more weird in my opinion. But then again, I think Twig has most success when he's playing this magical jungler. So I assume it's going to be Hebo jungle, and I think it's going to play really well on it.
Yeah, I really like Sanguine's team comp. They have an insane amount of setup for the Merlin and the Xbalanque, so late game, I don't really see Sanguine losing this.
Where's Erlang and Achilles going though? That's the question.
I'm thinking Erlang support, Achilles solo.
See, I think that's gonna happen there. Well, we've got the Xing Chen as well, because I actually want to see Achilles jungle.
That's interesting, actually. I think it is Achilles jungle, yeah.
Yeah, and if we get the Achilles jungle, that early and mid game that we were worried about with the Xbalanque, I think that's going to cover it. Honestly, Sanguine have a good chance here, Kelly.
All right, gentlemen, well, with that being said, we're almost about to get into game number 1. Ionic, who do you give it to, game number 1, Rival versus Sanguine?
I like Sanguine's draft better, but I think Rival's a stronger team. I'm going to say Rival game 1.
F-Dot?
Similar kind of things here. I do think, and this is interesting because Sanguine, I think obviously are the bottom card, but absolutely can win the games. And I think this is the type of composition that you need to have, not just the power, but the crowd control as well. Will CaptainTwig just go off? That's the question for Rival.
Zeros?
Yeah, I mean, I just think Sanguine's draft is a lot better. Like, it's so much CC, such strong late game carries, as I mentioned too. And we've seen Rival lose to SML earlier, so I have to give this one to Sanguine.
Really? Giving it up to Sanguine, so Ionic, you had Rival, you have Sanguine. F-Dot?
You're gonna, okay,
you have to choose. You can't not choose.
Sanguine. Vamos!
It seems like the audience agrees with you, but I want to know, does anyone here have Rival winning game 1? That sounded pretty even to me, everyone. In just a few short moments, we will be jumping into game, everyone. Never mind, that moment is now, everyone. It's game number 1, Rival versus Sanguine.
Thank
Thank you on the desk there, Kelly, Zeros, Tom, and Ionic. Great job, as always. We are about to move into the very first game here, the SMITE World Championship at DreamHack Atlanta. And here in the audience, let me hear a little bit from you guys as well, as we're about to kick this one off. It's going to be Sanguine up against Rival. And Totally, talk to me about these drafts, man. These are a little bit different from Rival than what we've been seeing lately.
The drafts are the single target pressure coming from Rival, the Thor, the Neith, the Serqet. They're looking for that single target pick in the jungle, anywhere that they can get with the Neith global pressure. A lot of late game damage with magical sources between the Habwa and the Freya. But then you look at Sanguine's draft, it's more team fighting focused, more AoE control as well, and I would prefer Sanguine's draft even further.
And Totally, I think there's a chance that we're going to be seeing a lot more of this kind of thing going forward, this aggression, this all-out pressure here from Team Rival that they've drafted early on. And this is top up against bottom. This is the current meta that Sanguine has up against what might be that new meta here from Rival. We're about to see them clash right here in game one.
The #1 SPL team going against the #2 placement team coming from the minor league of North America. Vamos Sanguine if you're a fan out there for these boys.
Well, PolarBearMike is lurking in the jungle for a steal. A little bit of help is going to come from Sheento's Merlin, but PolarBearMike sneaks his way in, has the Death Bane, and gets the first speed buff invade of the game to start things off for Team Rival. Already good pressure.
We've been seeing this a lot in Season 6, how supports put a lot of pressure on the junglers to start the game. Difficult to really out-secure a Serqet, even one that doesn't have Assassin's Blessing. His Death Bane does a lot of damage, and the supports, they don't stop at speed. They continue following the jungler every which way they go.
Wow, this is so difficult for Panitom to try and figure out where to go. He had to give up over there on the red buff. Now he's moving on. Both speeds controlled now by Rival, as well as the purple for Arkkyl. Looks like Netrioid was able to fall back and grab his own, but PolarBearMike continuing the aggression. There's 3 in mid.
Sacrificing a lot of solo experience to deny the enemy junglers. This is for the greater good, because now the mid lane has all the pressure that they want. They're able to successfully invade the red buff.
Look at Panitom on the XP per minute charts. He's dead last. This is exactly the trade that Team Rival are going to happily take every single time. Your support is ahead of the enemy jungler. It's already a rough start here for Sanguine.
He's absolutely crippled to start off this game. He's less than half the next member, which is Haddix on this Achilles. And to be fair though, for Panitom though, as an Erlang Shen, when you get behind, you still have a useful kit to play setup.
You're exactly right. So should still be good work from Panitom, but maybe not quite as much as you might expect. Haddix, the solo laner that had to step in here for Sanguine. Remember, they were not able to have Yarkor there in that solo lane, but he went on a tear for them as part of that placements run. So you expect him to be able to step up, but now he's against fineokay. This is a little bit different than anyone he placed in placement weeks. About one of the best solo laners we've got.
Up against fineokay, I don't expect Haddix to transcend into the Chaddix position the same way he played during the placements, but we'll see. It's still very early in the laning phase. Achilles has a lot of kill potential with that Fatal Strike. That Anvil of Dawn CC immunity will not stop the execute.
And this could potentially be a strategy. Is fineokay going to try to be a bit of a lane bully, or is he just going to try and wait and have more impact than him in the late game? The thing is that Thor can still do a lot of stuff even if he fell behind, but I don't know about Achilles. If Haddix isn't at least even with fineokay, I'd be worried about him when he rotates into those later fights. But look at this, Totally. 3 members rotating over to right. Oh, this could be trouble for Haddix, and PolarBearMike has the aggression, has the Sunder, pulls him in with the Cobra's Kiss, and there's the first blood of the SMITE World Championships.
The support getting rewarded as well from the start of invading speed to now the first blood. Everyone from Rival can benefit. Doesn't matter who gets that kill. And that's going to allow fineokay to now start rotating with the global pressure on this Thor.
Oh, and look at the timing that Haddix had to take. He does teleport his way back in, but that's not with a finished Glad Shield. Totally, he's got to take another back to finish that off.
That's going to be a big deal because fineokay still has his teleport available. He's about to hit level 5 before Haddix, and I don't expect there to be kill potential from fineokay onto Haddix. It's more about applying pressure onto Sheento. Force a flicker from someone else, preferably PBM, and then there goes the Anvil of Dawn.
And Totally, let's come all the way to the other side of the map. What about Arkkyl on this Freya? Is he just taking this one away from Netrioid, or do you think Freya could potentially be strong here at this tournament?
I think Freya can be strong, but only with Fafnir really to get that extra burst of attack speed. Not seeing the Fafnir here for Rival, I think there's some merit. If you're winning the opposite side of the lanes, then Freya can work. But then if you're winning the opposite sides of the lane, anything can work in that matchup. But Freya does very well late game with the burst damage.
No, you're right, man. And you said no Fafnir here, no Guardians or Warriors to speak of here in this draft from Team Rival, man. They are all pressure, all damage. Everyone that they've drafted is capable of blowing up anyone on the other side at any given moment. Sanguine have to be careful, man. They're walking a tightrope up against this draft.
They're looking for another unexpected victim here is Rival. They have so much burst potential with CaptainTwig now on the level 5 hub, while this crushing wave with also the World Weaver ultimate is going to be absolutely deadly once they catch anyone from Sanguine.
But I am a bit surprised. I mean, yes, Rival has pressured the jungle of Sanguine here a lot, but I mean, would you expect with this kind of draft that we'd be seeing a little bit more? I mean, we just got the ultimates online. I imagine that World Weaver's going to set up a lot more. Is that probably what's been causing it to be a bit slower?
I think that's how Rival's going to transition into that mid game, is utilizing that Neith global and also fineokay's global after that early lead, and that's why they drafted such an aggressive support for Rival.
And Mike is lurking in the jungle again, but he's not alone this time. Ronngyu and Panitom are both on this side of the map here until if they want aggression. But this is more about the blue buff invade, and I don't think that Sanguine are going to be here in time. They probably just don't even have the information. That is another successful invade. And look at the wards, especially on the left side of the map in favor of Team Rival. They have so much information. It's going to be hard to try and slow down all this aggression.
It's very easy to gank a Freya, so those wards are going to go a long way.
Yeah.
Spend the 100 gold, keep it under the purple, above the red buff, and there should be no ganks coming in Arkkyl's way, and Rival leaning on the strength of the early start from PBM all over the map, stripping away another blue buff. I like the momentum Rival have been built up, because at this point, they're kind of weak in this mid game if they don't get off to that early start.
You're right, they need to make sure they're coming in with a lead. And one thing to keep in mind, PolarBearMike went with this Sunder as opposed to the Blink. We see Blinks a lot on supports nowadays, but Sunder is something of a PolarBearMike special on things like Athena, someone where you can almost guarantee that hit and blow up one particular target.
And it's going to be a very high risk, high reward kind of relic selection. Not having the access of Shell potentially, Horrific Emblem, Frenzy. These are the team fighting relics we've been seeing more often in Season 6 SPL, but looking at Ronngyu, it's a totally different style between Ronngyu and PBM, playing a more defensive Guardian compared to the aggressive Assassin support. Ronngyu is thinking of ways of keeping his teammates alive in the team fights and also shutting down Rival. That Furious Roar mitigates so much basic attack damage, and that'll hinder not only PandaCat, but Arkkyl on the Freya.
You're right, Xing feels like a great pick here for Ronngyu. And Ronngyu is the kind of support who I think can make some moves. There were some times towards the end of the placement week where I think Ronngyu was diving a little bit too much on his own. He was getting picked a little bit too often. But Xing kind of likes to play in that positioning, wants to grab multiple people with his ultimate. This feels like not only a good pick for him, but it's a good pick in this matchup.
We need to see more out of him, though, and we might see it on the right side of the lane. Using that ultimate was Netrioid, fearful for Haddix's life.
Fortunately, that was enough to deter the aggression. Ronngyu has caught one inside the weather, and fineokay gets away with the hammer, avoids the execute, takes to the sky, avoids getting burned by Sheento's Merlin, and fineokay wants to come back in.
No way, he actually goes back in with the crushing wave with PandaCat, takes out Ronngyu.
That's huge from PandaCat, a great rotation, Twig as well, and Rival now up 2-0. But totally, it's not just those kills. Don't get distracted there. They're already up 3,000 gold. We're not even 8 minutes into this one. Can we see experience as well? Yeah, 3,500, and only up the back of 2 kills. That's jungle control, man.
Confidence from fineokay to go back in
Nuts.
is just absolutely absurd. Just goes to show you, this #1 seeded SPL team is here to not only play, but to dominate everybody in the competition.
And as strong as Sanguine have looked, I do think that if you're Team Rival and you want to win this tournament, you do need to come in and win this decisively. I know that Sanguine looked good in placements, but I mean, Dignitas are still out there. Splice is on the other side of the bracket. If you want to beat teams like that, you do need to come out hot here in this very first game.
Just thinking about the way Rival crumbled against Armada during MSI, it was a great strategy to disrupt what Rival wanted to do early. Sanguine had no way to disrupt Rival from doing that. PBM got a great invade, and it seemed like Sanguine wanted to just wait for the mid to late game.
Arkkyl under pressure here and left, but just uses the ultimate. Doesn't even have to use the purification beads. So even if he does get ganked again, he'll be very, very safe for that one as well. And he'll have the banish. Plus, look, they've got both red buff control as well. Rival, so far this game, have really dominated.
Still great vision on the left side of the map. A lot of these neutral camps between the mid-Harpies and the Oracles are going Rival's way, so a lot of safety for Arkkyl still with a 1-level lead, working on some of these rings. Going to be a very scary Freya to deal with in a couple of minutes.
You're right, she's going to have plenty of time to get that build online, and not the only one that looks to be going a bit greedy. Transcendence for PandaCat on this Neith in the middle lane, that's become kind of the style. I think a Doom Orb for Twig on this Hobble in the jungle, that's another thing that's become a really big build nowadays. And now Haddix in trouble, there's the World Weaver, and PandaCat gets his second kill of the game.
Honestly, I don't think they even needed it, and yes, another crushing wave from Twig taking out Panitom. Rival are just unrelentless here.
And that might have looked like Sanguine getting too aggressive in the jungle, but that was their side of the map, dude. That was Chaos side of the map. Haddix is down behind the tier 1 at their own back camps with Sanguine as well, but Rival were there waiting to punish. Around this early aggressive comp, they're playing perfectly around their draft.
We're getting to that mid-game point where these global pressure gods, like the Neith, is a factor, leaning on the weakness of Haddix currently with a 2-level deficit.
And Sheento in trouble. PandaCat not missing a single auto. He's able to take down one more as Sheento falls. The banish is there. Ronngyu, the next one in trouble. PandaCat finds himself a double kill. Arkkyl is taken to the sky with the Valkyrie's discretion. They want Panitom as well, but the Erlang Shen makes his way out. Rival up 2-0.
That just looks so clean coming from Rival. A swag flip to find the kill there. PandaCat with a nice little double kill, and to start things off really hot with a Gold Fury to boot.
Showing us the accuracy already. That's a Gold Fury every day of the week now for Team Rival, and this game has quickly gotten out of control from Sanguine. And I know that this is a confident team, this Sanguine roster, but Tolly, it looks to me like they were not expecting this all-out pressure.
You have to find a weakness in the enemy's draft somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Has no CC immunity in her kit. Lean on that. You went Blink on Panitom's Erlang Shen. You went Blink on Rongyu's Xing Chen. Utilize it in the early game. Don't let PandaCat be comfortable. PandaCat is the target that Armada chose to exploit.
Right.
He was playing the Giannis in their set.
You're exactly right. And Sanguine, on the other hand, it looks like just didn't have a strategy or a weakness that they were ready or looking to exploit coming into this match. You're exactly right. And now they're so far behind. I mean, Panitom's Erlang Shen is level 7. That's the same as Ronngyu. All he has is Traveler's Shoes and Berserker Shield. That's just not going to be enough.
I was going to say, like, Erlang Shen can still do things from behind, but this is getting almost out of control. Like a 3-level deficit. You can't even build tanky enough to start dealing with the damage CaptainTwig is going to deal.
Haddix still has the ultimate. He'll use it for the CC immunity, but fineokay without the hammer. Can't find the kill, but he goes through the tower. Haddix has the stun, Darkest of Nights as well, but he is able to take down Haddix and make it out with the ult.
He tried to be clean with a hammer, realized he had to commit at that point, and then using his ultimate to get out. He had a lot of protections, physical-wise, with the Breastplate of Valor, so he recognized even with the dive, he would still be safe.
Ronngyu blinks in. PandaCat backflips, but that's easy to read. So Rongyu's right there with the flip to lock him down. They need Sheento's damage. Beads and Aegis gets him out, but Sheento commits for it, and they take down PandaCat as well.
Ronngyu now going to be answered back in kind. I don't think Sheento can get out of this one.
No, he can't. He ends up paying for it. That makes it 3-for-1 now in favor of Sanguine because Netrioid has fallen here as well. Arkkyl with free reign on the left-hand side of the map, and this game quickly getting out of control for Sanguine.
It's looking really bad. Panitom can't even cross past his own back Harpies. He's on the retreat.
And he has to fall all the way back. CaptainTwig able to clear up some space for this tier 2 tower on the left to be threatened. They don't have very many minions, but PBM's just gonna tank it up. Totally, it's not even 13 minutes, that's a tier 2.
I mean, what else are they gonna do, Finch? Sure. Gold Fury was already down. Like, yeah, you could go for the right side. Fire Giant if you want. I mean, Pyromancer was already secured. Rival getting every objective they please.
So far, Rival have been in complete control of this game. And Sanguine have some tools, Totally. How does Sanguine try and find their way back in? They've got the control with Ronngyu and Panitom and the execute with Haddix. All this damage from Sheento. I mean, it's not entirely out of reach.
It's not. I think that with good, proper vision on maybe like the right side of the map, and then making adaptations towards ganking Arkkyl, that could be the play to get back into it, shutting down the Freya. But at this point, he's already level 15 on the Freya, 2 rings completed with penetration boots. How do you even out-damage him?
Panitom in trouble yet again. The World Weaver ultimate's already been used from PandaCat, but they're not quite able to lock Sheento down, even holds on to both relics there, so that's a really good fight for them. And Sheento might be the last bastion for this squad. Level 13, right there in your PandaCat, only about a level down, has the Doom Orb complete and the Spear of the Magus at this point. Maybe they have to try and play around this Merlin.
They really can't unless that rival overextend, because Sanguine, the only plays they can make is where they have numbers, but they haven't been able to group up because they just have to prioritize farming at this point.
You're right, and that's why rival are grouping. They're trying to pull Sanguine away from their farm to try and make the lead work in their favor. Let's say this tier 2 tower push stalls, it still favors rival because Sanguine aren't farming, but it doesn't look like it's gonna stall to me. PBM comes through and they bring Ronngyu low, but not quite able to get the tier 2, so Panitom finds a 3-man taunt, but no one to follow up.
I mean, there's just too much damage to return. If anyone goes in, they're getting blown up by this level 15 Freya, by the level 13 Hopwa, that also has a lot of magical power now going with the Doom Orb.
CaptainTwig fully behind the tier 2 tower, has to use the crushing wave defensively to get away. Might have been a little bit more panicky there than he needed to be, but nothing wrong with playing it safer rather than sorry.
Great pincer maneuver. It's not only PBM on the left, but it's also fineokay on the right side.
He took to the sky, dunks down on the Ronngyu, and CaptainTwig gets the very first kill of this engagement. But what about on the backline? PolarBearMike is still there, but can't quite find his window. This is all in the service of denying Sanguine farm.
It took a little bit of time here, and they still are not successful in getting the tier 2 tower, but they get the kill, and more importantly, they keep denying farm while they're waiting for the Fury to respawn. It's all a delay tactic for this objective.
You're right. I mean, at that point, there was nothing more efficient for them to be doing with their time on the map, right? So basically, they just had to try and look for what farm they could get. Deny some from Sanguine. Maybe you get the tier 2 tower. Maybe you get a couple of picks. They did end up at least getting 1 kill in the Ronngyu. Some good damage on the tier 2. Now they'll get this Fury here once it respawns.
And there's no reason for them to really force this one right now. With a 10,000 gold lead, it's looking very clean for them to be able to extend their lead with the Fury, with the Pyromancer, and with the Fire Giant in due time.
Wow, 10,000 gold, 15,000 experience. This one might already just be out of reach here for Sanguine. But here's the thing, Toli, about this Sanguine roster. I have never seen any quit in this team at all, man.
Sure.
This is a confident squad. Everyone thought that they didn't have a chance to make it through placement. Sanguine thought the whole time that they could make it. And even coming here, they're believing in this world's run. I know that this is rough for them. It's a brutal start to this game. But those 5 guys up on the stage, no way they've given up.
They beat Space Station Gaming, Luminosity, Simplicity to get here. Even the Hype Xbox team, which was making a very impressive run. So this is a team that can't be counted out once they do have some momentum. But rival haven't given them any opportunities to build any steam despite looking at Rongyu's back here.
Yeah, at this point, all you can do if you're Sanguine, I think, is try and keep your eyes open for any opening that rival might try and give you. But now they've grabbed the Pyromancer. They've got Ronngyu in the Banish. He does get hit by some damage from CaptainTwig. PolarBearMike leaps in, and Twig now on a rampage. 5 in a row.
Just 12 clean kills from rival. What more can you really expect from the #1 seeded team out of the SPL? Making some sort of play is Sanguine on this tier 1 left tower, but it's just too little too late, it feels, while rival get the Fire Giant.
Well, this Fire Giant's gonna go down for rival, so this is the best Sanguine can do, is try and trade out some towers. Remember, the tier 2s, that's 1,500 gold, the tier 1 about 500 or so. So this is about 2,000 global gold they've added to their own pockets to try and mitigate some of this bleeding. The problem is that rival are about to make a withdrawal of their own as they head towards these tier 2s.
It is important to get anything that you can. You know, squeezing blood from the stone at this point is Sanguine, but rival are going to get more than just that gold. They're going to get some Phoenixes and maybe some more kills.
Ronngyu has just become the target, man. 5 deaths this game. PolarBearMike nearly gets the kill on the Ronngyu by himself, pulls him back in, but he's quite low as well. Haddix comes in and finds a 1, but they end up losing Ronngyu in trade. Executes there. A double for Haddix. Sanguine, they're not done just yet.
I mean, rival overextending. 2 in middle, 1 on the left side of the lane, and 2 on the right. This is not how rival started off the game or transitioned into the middle game.
Right.
They need to also end cleanly, the same way they've been playing during phase 1, during phase 2. They ended phase #1 with an 8-1 clean record, but they did not end the phase 1 at MSI after they lost to Armor.
Right. So despite that really good phase 1 start that team had, you gotta wonder maybe if there was a bit of a slip. The MSI performance against Armada. Phase 2 is obviously still strong. They lock up the first seed, but not as good as that phase 1 start. This is where Rival can show us that that team is still in there, man. They can clean these games up. But remember, Sanguine loved to go to the late game. They will stall it out. Remember at placements, how many 40-minute, 50-minute games they had? This team is willing to wait if Rival don't clean this up.
I think we were there for that as well, casting that set. But it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish.
Sure.
Look at Renegades during phase 1. They went 5-4, and then they win MSI, going undefeated. And currently Rival, with this great start, need to end very cleanly to get this first win in the set.
Ronngyu goes with a Relic Dagger after the Gauntlet of Thieves here in this spot. That's interesting. I mean, it's cheap, it's some health. It does allow you to blink more often, a little bit of movement speed there too. Do you like this option when you're behind? I feel like he didn't feel like he had time to go into something more expensive.
It's important to get cooldown reduction anywhere you can, but Haddix gonna need more CCR reduction from all of this.
Cobra's Kiss from PolarBearMike is what kept Haddix in range, and they block it. No way you're getting out of here with the execute this time. CaptainTwig notches number 14 here for Rival, but they're not done. fineokay barely makes it to the sky, and they'll come give this tier 2 tower one more try.
The Furious Roar was so close to taking out fineokay there as he lives with literally 1% health, but Rival getting very antsy now, being between the tier 2 and the Phoenix by yourself. I get it, you're a tanky Thor, you have all these protections and the help, but this is not how you close out games. But teleporting back in.
And they got the wall, they've got the hammer, but Netrioid, man, just a wiggle and worm his way back out of there. That's the tier 2 tower down, and Rival now threatening the Phoenix. Frenzy popped, but two-man top by Panitom. Ronngyu there with the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, but Arkkyl puts Ronngyu into the dirt. CaptainTwig, Falatin, Sheento as well, and that's it for the mid-Phoenix. Can Rival make an end off this? It's a 5v3.
It's looking like they are gonna at least try. This damage from Arkkyl is just absurd, not to mention also CaptainTwig.
CaptainTwig in position, Titan below half HP at this point solely. If Rival just commit, then they might have game number 1, but Netrioid has other plans. Ronngyu and PandaCat got some kills, and there's Rival, game number 1 of SWC. Go to the SPL.
18-4, Rival started off hot, ended hot, very fast, very dirty actually as well. Diving the Phoenixes, diving past tier 2 towers. Kudos to the SPL team.
Now remember, Sanguine showed us some heart there in that game. That's an easy one, I think, to mentally check out of, because they were never really in it, but they bounced back. Haddix was able to find a couple double kills in there as well. They were trying to claw their way back in. If I'm Rival, there still might be a little bit to clean up.
Expect the unexpected. When you see a Serqet support, expect your jungler to be harassed from the start. There was nothing Panitom can do from his speed buff to his red buff, getting denied the entire early game. Rival, complete control, even with PPM rotating to kill Haddix at level 3.
You're right, man. Panitom was really never in that game. Rival now up 1-0, but Sanguine could still bounce back. Quick break, and we'll have that game too.
You've come seeking a vision. The threads of fate hold the answers for those worthy. One thread, a defender of Asgard, with eyes on the horizon over the Bifrost. Heimdall. Another strand to the east. A land of warriors as plentiful as trees, with one rising above all. Deeper still, into the woods, there resides a home that is a sanctuary for none but Baba Yaga. Darker still, the infinite abyss rushes like waves, and yet more comforting than what lies beneath. However, even the darkest night gives way to the light of the moon. But that's a tale for another time. The threads of fate bind us all. What will they hold for you?
Game number 1 is done from Rival versus Sanguine. And gentlemen, it was a David versus Goliath, but Goliath definitely seemed to be a little too strong for David right there. Ionic, I want to start with you. What were the first things that you noticed from the Rival versus Sanguine matchup?
Yeah, to me, this was really Rival playing to their strengths, both in the draft and in their personnel. fineokay and Haddix is a bit of a mismatch, you know, the rookie against the more experienced, not quite a veteran, but definitely much more experienced fineokay. And they really managed to abuse that soloing. With the Neith and the Serqet, Mike was just able to make plays all around the map. with the help of the global pressure.
Yeah, speaking on that Neith there, PandaCat, I mean, F-Dot, that was, how can you defeat, if he can't have Neith anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty nuts. It's the combination Neith Hebo match combination, right? You pin somebody down with the long-range ultimate, and that allows Hebo to get in position to be surprised and knock up and water hands, et cetera, et cetera.
Taking a quick look at the stats here, Zeros, is there anything that really stood out to you for these player stats?
Not really for the stats, but for the game itself, I think Rival just played the comp that they really want to play. Like they've been an early game pressure team this whole season, in my opinion. And we have PBM on the Serqet, one of the strongest level 1 supports in the game. And with the Neith mid, that can help out with they can pressure every lane with this strong early game support, right? So and you have the Neith out on top of that to help out. So Sanguine just didn't have a chance in this game.
I mean, the real combination of what Yannick said and Zero said is what Rival did. You look at the 3-man gank in the short lane to start the game. That's taking advantage of the mismatch, taking advantage of the early game prowess of this team. Rival went to work, they hit their 2 bullet points, and they brought home the win.
Yeah, I'm really surprised, honestly, that Sanguine didn't have a different starter, something to counter Mike invading, because Serqet on an invade is almost a guaranteed steal, right? I'm surprised they started a Panitom on the speed buff.
And a lot of times when you see Sanguine, they're more willing to kind of just give it up and walk away. Honestly, I think the biggest thing though, they had trouble in that late early and early mid game. I would have liked to see the Achilles in the jungle like we were postulating up here. I think that might have helped out a little bit more because Erlang gets so screwed by the carpet.
Yeah, exactly. Like Erlang has a terrible matchup into Hebo. But the thing is, Achilles' matchup into Hebo is better for sure because he can dash out of the carpet, right? But it's still not great. So I don't know. I think they need a stronger jungler against the Hebo because if this Hebo doesn't get punished, it's just like one of the best carry mages in the game. So
yeah, I believe Erlang was 4th or 5th picked. I want to see Panitom on an assassin, something he's really comfortable with. Susano, Naja, I don't want to see him on the Erlang.
Well, that's something that we're going to have a look at right now, everyone. Picks and bans for game number 2 already. Now, one thing we're talking a lot about for Rival, the positives, but I do want to mention we saw a double kill from Haddix there. So although they were definitely down, they weren't out, they were still trying. And I think it's something that Finch said, that even if they are behind, this is a team that doesn't give up.
They really don't quit. We've heard the North American players complain about that in their ranked games because they really don't quit. Yannick's here nodded when they catch
F7, baby.
Yeah, never, ever, ever. But realistically, I'm a big Achilles fan. He has a button that gives him percent power. That's absurd. When you have your mid-game items, that's going to happen. You could be down 15 grand and still get a double kill. Should have been in the jungle, I'm sorry.
I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Thor here. They gave it up to Rival first pick last game. Are Sanguine going to ban it? Are they going to look to first pick it for themselves? Because they haven't really been playing it too much this tournament.
Yeah, well, with the bans that we're seeing now, very similar to game 1 bans here. How do you think Zeros are going to end out this ban? Are we going to see a Thor?
Yeah, probably. I think 4 ban, and I think Rival definitely going to ban Jormungandr. Like, after placement week, I think Jormungandr had like 80% win rate or something, so I'm pretty sure we won't see that one slip through.
This is something that we were mentioning a little bit behind the stage, but that this early aggression that we saw from Rival, that this might be the meta that we see for the entire World Championship Series. Yannick, is that something that you think we're going to be seeing other teams starting to adopt as well?
Yeah, I think when it gets to LAN, almost always the meta starts to go towards pressure. It's easier to play, easier to execute, and I think Sanguine's going to have to adapt because their draft was pretty late game oriented.
Well, how do they adapt? And there is the Thor ban indeed. They're not wanting to see that on Rival anymore.
Yeah, I really expect to see a Jormungandr pick here for Sanguine, right? Like, yeah, there we have it. Although, with early pressure, I guess Jormungandr kind of does have early pressure in solo lane as well. It's really strong, but it's not like one of the strongest early game goals, I think.
But what Jormungandr does offer is the counter attack, right? If Rival does get off to another good lead, Jormungandr is one of the best characters to really fight into an enemy team fight, cause all this havoc and this disruption, and allows you to kind of punch up a little bit. So I like this choice.
Yeah, we see the Instalock Osiris into the Yorm. I think Rival was expecting the Yorm pick. I think they're expecting to abuse the solo lane once again.
Yeah, Osiris has a really good matchup. That's what I've heard at least, into Jormungandr as well. So I think, and they got the Freya again, so dual lane's already won pretty much. Sanguine's looking to take the Serqet now though, which will reduce some of the early pressure from PBM, but I'm pretty sure PBM is going to play the Herc or the Fenrir or something like that instead.
Yeah, this Serqet's a flex pick. Panitom can play it, Ronngyu can also play it. I'm expecting this one to go over to Ronngyu, and he's going to try and match what Mike did last
Lightning bolt!
I also see the Merlin hover, and I think that's the scariest part. Ronnie's one, yeah, there it is. Sheento, though, now has like a big name character that's going to be a problem.
Well, we got to see Sheento actually on Merlin last game as well, and I want to talk a little bit about that matchup because I feel like a lot of the contention happened in that middle lane there, PandaCat versus Sheento. What does Sheento have to do now with this Merlin to take down PandaCat, arguably one of the best players in the game?
The problem is Merlin is fine in a one-on-one in mid, but it's the gods around him, his support and his jungler. If they don't give him any pressure, he can't do much. You saw last game, he didn't really do any mistakes, but like he didn't get to play the game pretty much because so much pressure from Rival.
It was an insane performance from Twig in the jungle. I mean, this guy went like 7-0, 7-1 maybe, and of course that was assisted by PandaCat. So I think if they're able to kind of control it, that's a big deal. But with the Anhur, I mean, it's Anhur versus Merlin. What's your take?
I mean, this Anhur has kind of been a signature pick for PandaCat throughout this split. He's definitely maybe one of the best top 3 Anhurs in the world. So this Anhur can really abuse the Merlin in the early game, I think. But I like this adaptation from Sanguine. Yeah. Taking away the Serqet early, it's going to help enable the Merlin, get to the mid game, get to the late game. But Rival is still just going full pressure, it seems.
Yeah, like this pressure, like the Osiris, the Anhur, the Freya, that's like pretty much the hardest pressure gods you can have in each lane. So I think Rival really gets what they want there. And as I said, there's a lot of high pressure support for PBM to pick still as well. And Twig might go back to a mage jungler. I would assume the Hebo might get banned, but he can still play the Poseidon jungle, for example.
Finishing off the second bans phase here, we have Fafnir and Erlang Shen. Final 2 bans.
I'm really surprised that Sanguine is actually banning away Fafnir here and not kind of a really aggressive warrior or an aggressive assassin. I would like to see a Hercules ban, and then maybe an aggressive assassin ban, like a Naja ban, because
Fenrir as well.
Yeah, Fenrir as well, because Mike is going to go full pressure, we know.
The Hebo ban comes out. I'm with you. I think I would have rather see the more support-oriented ban. This is a Hercules pick in my mind. I'm clicking that button as fast as possible.
We're about to find out. There it is. Okay. Not Hercules at all.
Horus.
I will not be caught.
Not quite the same pressure as a Hercules, but still, Horus is one of the best.
Also, Horus and Anhur in mid is one. You get hit by one Horus combo, and if you don't have beats, you get one shot by the Desert Fury from Anhur coming out, right? And the supports like the Sanguine, Ronngyu on Sanguine, probably not going to pick up beats earlier, right? So they're definitely going to be looking for him.
Well, speaking of Hercules there, we are having him hovered over and locked in now. The final pick for Sanguine going to be Hachiman.
I'm very excited. I am very excited here because Ronnie was planning on playing the Serqet. That was absolutely support Serqet selection for Ronngyu, but now he's got the Hercules, and Ionic gets his assassin in the jungle for Panitom. Sanguine, again, have a nice draft.
I'm excited. I think Sanguine has made the right adaptations for this game. I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough. Now that Rivals had one game, I think the momentum's on their side, and they're feeling confident. I think this game's going to go to Rival as well.
Yeah, I think the Sanguine match pressure better this game, but then again, now we have the Hachiman against the Freya in duo lane, so Rival's duo lane is going to be a lot stronger early game, so I would assume Rival's is going to try to get their lead through the duo lane this game instead, while all the other lanes might like stabilize a little bit more.
So then what does Sanguine have to do now to not get 0-2'd by Rival? Are they going to have to try and fight away from that early aggression that we saw in game number 1? Are they going to wait till the mid game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an adaptation of that. And here I want to lean on the players real quick. I mean, that was T-strats for Rival, right? 3-man gank in the solo lane. Is that something they do a second time? Does anyone have to be prepared for that, or?
They do. And that's something that's going to play in Haddix's mind as well. Even if he's just in a 1v1, he's always going to have in the back of his mind, are they ganking me here? Is Mike sitting here? Where's Mike? This is going to be scary for him.
How do they adapt to that then? What does Haddix have to do to not get ganked, to not get dominated in the solo lane?
I think it's going to have an easier time this game because Rival they still have a lot of pressure, but I don't think they have as much pressure as last game. Because last game, PBM and Twig just run around the whole map, do whatever they wanted pretty much. And I think Sanguine has better counter pressure this game, so I don't think it's going to be as easy for them to just 3-man rotate to solo early game to get a first blood.
Again, I'm sort of on the same side as Ionic. Sanguine have made the right choices. Ronngyu on this Hercules will be the difference maker. If he can find the pressure early and mid to enable his team, that will be how we get to a game 3.
Ionic, real quick, who do you give it to here, Sanguine or Rival?
I don't think this is going to be a stomp, but I'm going to give this one to Rival.
F dot?
I do have to go Rival here as well.
Zeros?
Rival too.
All right, everyone, game number 2 is ready. Make some noise and let's head to our casters.
Thank you there on the lounge yet again as we move into game number 2 between Sanguine and Rival. It's still Finch and Tully here as we kick things off. One last cast here between the boys. Potentially, if Sanguine takes number 3, we might have one more. But we'll certainly see as, what is this, an early grouping from Rival? Though they are on their own side of the map, perhaps just grouping up to place some deep wards here, Tully. But overall, do you think Sanguine have put themselves in a better spot to have a more competitive match this time?
For the early game, yes. Hercules now onto Ronngyu as opposed to the Xing Chen is a good start with the blink, but he needs to position himself to really shut down the momentum from CaptainTwig. Athena on the jungle side. We haven't seen this in a hot minute.
Yeah.
And if it gets off uncontested, there's a lot of damage with that Defender of Olympus coming up.
There certainly is, man. Athena has sneaky damage. Maybe not so much anymore. I know a lot of our players here probably know how much Athena can do, but if you all are caught unawares, Athena can certainly put you down. PandaCat there to follow up PolarBearMike as well. It looks like Ronngyu is the one in position for the invade this time, as is fineokay and PBM on the other side.
But PandaCat spotted him out as well, so I think that Ronngyu should be able to invade that speed buff for free. Looking like a steal over here potentially as well. PBM stuns out Panitom.
They were trying to find the kill, but he just barely makes it out of there with that Deathbane. Arkkyl is pretty low over there on the left-hand side as well. He's got to be careful, though Netrioid not going to aggress any further. The Hunters just get low, but no one ends up falling.
I really thought that when the Anhur was selected, that it was definitely going to go to the likes of Arkkyl, considering how much of a non-impact he was in the early game. He's like, guys, give me something that I can really frag on, right? Like, he loves his Ullr, he loves his Anhur, but I think if you're that dominating on the right side of the map, just, yeah, play a Freya on the left side. You know, bake yourself in the oven, and then you're going to be coming out nice and crispy at the end.
You're right, man. I think a lot of people forget that Freya is still good lane pressure, man. She clears the wave really well. It might be a while before she's really ready to box like she's going to be when she gets a couple rings online, but certainly it comes to clearing the wave. She's there. Sheento avoids getting hit by the impale. Ronngyu has wrapped around looking to catch PandaCat. The driving strike pushes him the wrong way, and Ronngyu just barely won't have enough for the kill. And now it's Rival's turn to look for the turnaround, but they've got some backup. Not enough. CaptainTwig finds first blood.
They might be looking for a little bit more. No, Panitom does walk out. Very unfortunate there for Ronngyu that he was only level 1, didn't have access to the pull or enough damage, despite having the mobility to get a couple of pot shots after the driving strike. And aggression meets aggression. PandaCat, no stranger to jumping in with the Anhur, puts himself a little bit out of position, counting his lucky stars that this Hercules was only level 1.
And you could tell Ronngyu didn't want a driving strike. It was going to push him away from the team. It wouldn't be the follow-up damage, but once he got so far, he had to see if maybe he'd have enough damage for the kill on his own. And because he committed, he ended up dying. And Haddix might be in trouble too. Twig has rotated over, but he has dash and shield wall. Without the taunt, no way to lock down Haddix there.
Similar story on the right side compared to Ronngyu in middle there. Not enough levels there on this Athena. And honestly, the preemptive beats from PandaCat in mid to hold that thought, though, Panitom's still in trouble.
Getting caught here in the jungle yet again. This is where we saw him trying to defend the speed last time, and he ended up getting bullied. But Ronngyu on the Hercules pushes PBM away. Rongyu's gone with boots 2 to start. So he's plenty ready for this aggression.
And despite PBM not finding the kill, he forced it back from Panitom. So that's a technical kill where you are denying a good amount of time of farm, probably like 15 to 20 seconds. And that adds up the more times you are able to get it off.
Dude, that's the Tully KO. I've been calling it the TKO, man, on that one when you send him back to base. So, and you're certainly right, man. You get some credit for just having pushed them back, for them not being able to farm for a little while. As Rival looking to be aggressive on the buff invade again, but it looks like Sanguine defended this time.
They do, and now Rival can only walk back, but they could at least zone Haddix away from picking up that blue buff, and it's looking like Sanguine are in control of the Totem of Coups. A good objective to control if you're not able to at least control your buffs there. And extra 125 gold, every advantage that you can get helps Sanguine here.
And they need every bit of it. Talk to me, though, a bit about this solo lane matchup. I know a lot of people like Osiris into the Jormungandr in particular. Is it just because of the tether? Is that really good into him?
I mean, that's one way to look at it. Once you are stealth, you just pop the tether, you identify exactly where this Jormungandr is going, but it's also a good way to mitigate a lot of damage in these team fights.
Taunt after the dash there from Twig, but only Ronngyu has found. No beads to grab there. But already, I gotta give Sanguine a ton of credit. They have kept themselves in this as opposed to game 1. Arkkyl forcing the Valkyrie's discretion. Good damage on the Panitom, but the ambush forces out the beads. Arkkyl was looking to stand and fight.
He's mad, you can tell. Yeah. He's like a bee that got disrupted in his little hives. Like, how dare you poke me? Wanting to find that return kill. Only level 3 Serqet, so he identified the 1v2 advantage that he had, poking out Panitom there. Netrioid still not with his ultimate, so he had no worry about that mounted archery damage.
That's a big deal. I am very likely that could have spelled the end there for Arkkyl. But the good news is, if you're on the side of Sanguine, that Arkkyl had to use the ultimate and the purification beads to escape there. That's why we saw Panitom commit that ambush to jump in afterwards to force those beads. If they come back around again, that should be a pretty good gank.
And if I'm gonna nitpick, I don't really think Arkkyl needed to use the beads at the very end of it, seeing how far away Netrioid was, seeing that his ultimate wasn't up either, but feeling like there might have been a third supporting member, it could have been Arkkyl, so playing it rather safe instead of Sar. And PBM still applying pressure in the solo lane.
He's looking for Haddix, has the Defender of Olympus coming in as well, and this is enough to force Haddix to use the ultimate, has to use that ultimate here in order to disengage. We'll fight over the blue buff. Can't quite tell who got that, but there's gonna be a fight on the backside as CaptainTwig is already low. Panitom looking for him, but instead they go for the peel. Twig gets off a great two-man taunt, sets up for a kill, but it's traded back as Twig falls as well.
Sheento flickered away now. He might be in a little bit of trouble, but Rival gonna walk away after that 1-for-1. Great rotation from PandaCat, securing that kill with a long-range Desert Fury.
fineokay, just rotating back in the lane, and this is so much better from Sanguine this time. I know they're still down a little bit less than 1,000 or so, but this is so much better than game number one. They're giving themselves a fighting chance.
And with fineokay playing this Osiris, that kind of dictates the game plan from Rival to start off the game. It's to pressure solo lane, utilize the strength. It's hard to outbox this Osiris with all the mitigation that he gets from his passive, the tether as well, free poke with very short cooldown from his abilities, the great sustain once you get Gladiator shields.
This could be trouble, though, as the Serqet is aggressive and right. That was Panitom looking for fineokay. Haddix is right there to follow up. If he can find this knock-up, it might get the kill, but fineokay gets the turnaround slow, and that gets him out of there.
That's right. Also, once you use that Spirit Flail and connect on an enemy as well, you are gaining movement speed.
Oh, but PandaCat has caught Panitom in the jungle. One more kill for Rivals. They improved to 3 kills over just the 1 for Sanguine.
PandaCat feeling himself, making another rotation there just to play cleanup crew. Very uncommon to see mid laners rotate this early in the game, but when there's not really much to farm, PandaCat now 2-0-1.
But I'm glad we're seeing Anhur mid, man. I don't know what happened. He's still good here. He still has a bunch of pressure. If you have some control, that's guaranteed kills. I know mages like their Doom Orb and their cooldown boot start, but I still like me some Anhur.
Yeah, if you are accurate with all the Desert Fury ticks, it's pretty much a mage ultimate, especially if you have the CC to guarantee it, right? Like Transcendence with 10% CDR, it's already a very short ultimate cooldown that gives you a lot of damage and a lot of CC immunity during the duration.
You can tell PandaCat's comfortable rocking the diamond skin here on the world stage. Is the mid laner here for Team Rival. You love to see that one there out of him. But as you said, he is a little bit behind Sheento. Doesn't have the Transcendence finish just yet, and a little bit of an experience deficit for him here. I think PandaCat's rotated a bit more, whereas Sheento has just been farmed.
And there's been 3 players out of Rival in the mid lane, consistently soaking up PandaCat's farm, but at the end of the day, when he's able to still rotate and get the plays, you're not too worried about sharing farm.
Ronngyu does push PolarBearMike, but it's Rival who are aggressing into the order side of the map, and they knock him up around that Sunder. What a play from PBM.
There's the setup, there's the Desert Fury, a little bit of amplified damage with the Sunder as well.
And they're not done yet. Twig finds a 2-man taunt. Panitom jumps away, as does Netrioid. Rival continuing the aggression, but you're right, that was all around PBM and that Sunder and the Desert Fury.
That's right, the Mage Ultimate Desert Fury.
You're right.
All the distance. Diving to tier 1 though is Rival.
And this is a little bit too much. PolarBearMike locks down Netrioid. Arkkyl was there too if necessary, just use it on the wave. Another cleanup kill for Rival. It might be slower totally, but it kind of feels the same, doesn't it? Rival are the team in control.
And it's a little bit of a different direction, but the similar theme where there's pressure from Rival early game, but it's not only in the solo lane compared to game number 1, it's also in this duo lane, and that's problematic when Freya is now getting more and more of a lead. He was left unchecked last game, Arkkyl, and we saw what he was able to do during that Phoenix siege. We saw him basically the last 2 minutes of the game, and he was in late game Freya form.
They have now locked down Ronngyu again, but this Hercules with the Guardian's Blessing, with those tank boots as well, is not an easy target. PandaCat in trouble in mid. Panitom, though, can't find the Cobra's Kiss. That might have been a kill, though the beads were available for PandaCat, so he probably makes it out.
Yeah, I think he was fine regardless there, but I like the attempt from Sanguine to find a response anywhere they can get it. I think the jump was down from PandaCat, feeling very confident to make these aggressive plays, and feeling confident in the solo lane is also fineokay, being a bully, hugging that tower line.
Take a look at Twig's build, Pythagorean's piece into those cooldown boots. And he built this last game, I believe, too, the Pythax piece. He's gone, when he plays these off junglers, he goes his own path in terms of how he builds. But I think this Pythax is a good fit for the Athena.
Yeah, lifesteal is great, right? Like, you want to be able to help out your late game Freya as well. Cooldown reduction, some health, so you're kind of getting a little bit of a tankier build. Nice blink.
Ronngyu, that would have been trouble, but a great blink from him. Allows him to reposition, gets away from Twig's aggression. But look for that from Twig a lot. That is low committal, dash, taunt on an isolated target. He's going to keep looking for those, and eventually they're going to connect.
Yeah, it's going to be problematic for Sanguine here because they don't really have that many CC immune ultimates. Like, I'm only looking at Sheento, the vulnerable mid laner there. If he's going to be blink taunted, that's going to be no more AoE damage control coming through from your mage.
Now, Ronngyu is a good bit behind PolarBearMike, level 6 as opposed to 8. I know a lot of the time with the aggressive supports, you do fall behind on purpose, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like that's what happened here this game. Do you feel like Rongyu's behind, or is this just the start?
I think it's the start, honestly. They tried to make an offensive play that got responded back to. Ronngyu was very close to getting that kill. Then ever since that one death, his application in the solo lane wasn't as fruitful as PBM was setting up PandaCat consistently.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Ronngyu has now struggled as a result of it. This Hercules has hard pivoted from early aggression to tank this. Ronngyu knocked up the Thunder there again, and PandaCat gets the kill.
Similar story to the last time around the red buff. Only difference here is this time the pillar was thrown for even more damage.
Blink taunt onto Sheento, and fineokay rotates in. Lord of the Afterlife underneath the tier 2, pushed back in, this time by Panitom. Good work for the Sanguine jungler to punish fineokay.
A little too aggressive, I think, coming from fineokay. They're missing the ultimate. Not a good look there from such a prestigious solo lane.
Wow, and Haddix wants to go back in using the ultimate aggressive. They forced out Arkyl's ultimate, and Haddix will be waiting. Panitom jumps in, but CaptainTwig with the two-man taunt. Not enough, though. Netrioid puts Arkkyl in the dirt.
Haddix now could be in a little bit of trouble, or make that double, because now Sanguine has mid-control with their player advantage, and Rival used a lot of resources, so it's getting that initial kill onto Ronngyu.
And another pull. They're going to bring PolarBearMike in. He gets Defender of Olympus with the boulder, and Sheento dunk him. Sanguine not going home just yet. They've gotten 4 in a row, and they're going right to the Gold Fury. But Rival are on their way. They're not going to give this one up.
PandaCat doesn't have the ultimate, but that's going to be enough.
Yeah, to drop it.
Seeing CaptainTwig and PandaCat around the corner to disperse away from this objective. But I was going to mention how Rival are successful at getting the picks, but then they need to reset. They need to wait for their cooldowns. They need the Desert Fury, they need the Sunder to get even more teamfight potential because they don't have the Shell, the Frenzy, the Horrific Emblem to extend these teamfights further.
It's going to hurt this team if they can't find some way to turn things around. Though Sanguine have done a really good job these last few fights, have been able to kind of stabilize this pressure. Rival have to make sure that if they are going to go for this aggression, that is the controlled aggression. That fineokay dive, a little bit too much. I mean, one time, that's okay. You can write that off. We just got to make sure we don't see too much more of that kind of giving your life away.
Yeah, and honestly, like, when you Judgment Tether in there, you almost guarantee your second Spirit Flail to hit anyway. It's a short enough cooldown. Not really having CDR here, having to go for more magical defense, also hurts him. When he made that tower dive in game number 1 under the tier 2 with Thor, he had Breastplate of Valor. A lot of physical protection, but not this game.
Just a gank on a Haddix using the Horus ultimate. Haddix does respond, though, by making it to the ultimate in time. And Totally, do you like that gank? I mean, I guess if they get him in the CC chain soon enough, he can't ult out is the idea, right?
Whether or not they get the kill, they're guaranteed to get the tower because no one else can assist Haddix to play defense. So it was calculated aggression. It's only a tier 1 tower. It doesn't deal enough damage for your life to be a threat at 13.5 minutes in.
Well, Sanguine respond with the tier 1 and left, and you're right, Rival will get that tier 1 in solo. They'll let the minions do the work from there. So I don't know if that comes out being particularly valuable for Rival looking for that aggression. They didn't get a whole lot out of it.
I don't think it's worth investing your time trying to shut down a level 13 Jormungandr that's on even footing from the enemy Osiris. It's better to just focus out the more vulnerable targets. I'm looking at potentially Arkkyl on the left side of the map, throw some sentry wards, and really exploit this Freya before she becomes an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, and I mean, you know Haddix was smashing that ult button, man. Any window he got, he was going to be out of there. As Rival now regroup, and force down the tier 1 tower in mid. A little bit of extra gold in their pockets, and they want Panitom as well. Taunt, CC chain good, and that will do it for the jungler from Sanguine.
Looking very clean now from Rival to be able to find out one initial pick. The boulder not enough to really scare away Rival, but there's no objectives that they can secure after this. This is them kind of slowing it down from game number 1 after the failure of that tower dive in game number 2.
And they're right to do it. I was wondering what this is going to be from Twig, and it is Stone of Binding. And I think this makes a lot of sense. We see this on Athena supports all the time, so why not on the more aggressive Athena jungle?
And looking at CaptainTwig, he's such a diverse utility player, and Rival securing an easy gold fury. No one to respond from Sanguine.
Yeah, Sanguine don't make it in time. In fact, now, just by hanging on the outskirts, they put Ronngyu in a bad spot. They've run out of the damage, though, to kill him. He gets the heal off, and Ronngyu might be out, though Horus has taken to the sky. PolarBearMike commits on the Netrioid, and they find the first kill. They're going to be on the lockdown. Sheento as well. The carries have started to buckle.
Sanguine just can only be spectators as Rival pick up everything that they can get. This is the aggression we expect out of the draft from Rival. You got the aggressive Osiris, the aggressive Horus from PBM using their ultimates, and then CaptainTwig to follow it up. The front line has good tools offensively and defensively for the chase.
But that's a bad play from Sanguine, Foley. I mean, they're not there for the defense, and then they waffle in between, and they don't retreat entirely, and Rival step on the gas and punish them there. I feel like they either need to contest the objective or leave.
I don't know if it's nerves or something from Sanguine. Their shot calling today doesn't look similar to their shot calling during placement. When they had the early game for Sanguine back then, 2 weeks ago or so, they looked like a totally different team. But on the biggest stage at Worlds, up against Rival, the #1 seeded SPL team, it's looking just dominant for the Chaos side.
It is. It's looking grim for Sanguine. And remember, totally, there's no lower bracket. There's no chance to. This is it, man. Sanguine, after their whole journey and how great it has been for them, it could come to a screeching halt right here in this game if they can't find some way to extend this to a game number 3. They're certainly not out of it. 5,000 gold's not a death sentence, but things are looking rough.
It is, but a lot of damage onto CaptainTwig shows that there is some signs of hope, because that was only 2 gods applying that damage. And that deficit that you just mentioned is nowhere near to the same degree of game number 1.
You're so right.
I think that, if anything, Sanguine could come back.
They certainly can still in this game. I wonder if they'll make this defense on the tier 2. Sometimes it's better not to give up too much free gold, as Panitom passed on the way to lock down PandaCat. The boulder comes in too, but he must have Aegis it all. Doesn't matter, he still burns. Panitom gets the second kill, and this is what we were talking about. Sanguine still have some life left in him as they send Rival packing.
A little bit of a curious jump from PandaCat, a little bit too far away from his front liners to get assisted there, and Sanguine with 2 quick kills, but they can't get any objectives. Fury secured. The Pyromancer secured. A little bit too frisky if they were to go for a Fire Giant to Sanguine. Have to probably group up for this tier 1 mid tower, but they're not going to, and with a 5-on-3 power play for 10 seconds, you kind of have to be curious about Sanguine's leadership here.
Yeah, they need to be able to get something off the map, and I know that they haven't been able to get much of anything from Rival. It must be so difficult to feel confident in your shot calls in this moment, but that's what the really good teams do, is that when you do give them that small window, they throw it open, and they're able to get in there and claw their way back into games. Rival are not going to give them many more opportunities.
Oh, looking for a play onto Panitom. Forcing out the beads is PBM and fineokay, so you know Rival have that relic timer on cooldown. They will be looking to exploit this Serqet on the next engagement.
We'll see if that's going to be the call from them. fineokay keeps 3 members zoned away, while the rest of his squad, the damage dealers, are heading towards FG. I wonder if there's a full call, because they have Arkkyl and PandaCat. That's a lot of damage, but instead they're going to look for the fight here totally. fineokay pulled in first. They will use Sheento to try and zone some, but Haddix is the one left to the wolves, and he does get the ultimate off in time.
Wow, impressive escape there, and impressive escape from Arkkyl as well, narrowly avoiding that boulder.
They got fineokay back in, they pull PBM back in as well. fineokay has fallen first. PolarBearMike does get the dash off in time to make it back out, as CaptainTwig finds a nice taunt, but Sanguine holding on yet again in this game.
Ronngyu looking like a totally different player from game 1 to 2. He looked very dormant in game 1 with the Shen, just very passive, right? Game 2, Hercules, anything but.
And and look at Panitom's build. Is that the Witchblade into this PandaCat Arkkyl double hunter in quotes composition? I think I like this here.
Yeah, the anti-attack speed is a great look to shut down the Anhur, shut down the Freya that has a lot of attack speed.
CaptainTwig, Blink Taunt brings in 2. Haddix low already, but Arkkyl needs backup and he won't get it. Netrioid is the one that digs a grave and puts Arkkyl inside it. That's the tier 1 tower as well. As Sanguine, maybe we said they were nervous. Maybe they were just biding their time here, totally.
They hit a power spike that they really needed. Netrioid now level 17. That Heavenly Banner, now keep in mind, also amplifies his attack speed to be able to do a lot of damage thus far. Great control from Ronngyu, really exploiting Arkkyl that didn't have the Valkyrie's discretion.
Arkkyl ends up taking a spill. That's both his relics as well. Once he does come back, he'll be in some trouble. He has the Telekine's Demonic already. I wonder what it is that Arkkyl is planning to go here with this last ring. Maybe in the haste, it has been changed. A lot more luxury nowadays. It's not so necessarily core in Freya's build.
I mean, movement speed is still movement speed at the end of the day. For Arkkyl, once your ultimate has been used, you need some form of escape or to chase him down.
Well, this Primal Fury being burned quickly. Sanguine are nearby, but Arrival secure the objective and make their way back out. That's not the end of the world if you're Sanguine. They got themselves back towards relevancy. If you have to cede 1 Primal Fury, that's okay. They clearly have been picking better fights these last couple of times, so I'm okay with their pace.
But honestly, the Primal Fury is probably the worst Fury that Sanguine could have seen Rival secure. That 7% accessibility towards securing the Fire Giant, taking 7% less damage when you have a late game Freya with a Frenzy. That window that Rival were looking for earlier might show up again here.
Rival now getting aggressive. PolarBearMike the front line for them, but takes quite a bit of damage courtesy of Sheento and goes on his way. They're gonna lock down Panitom with the taunt, but he doesn't take that much damage at all. Have Sanguine now gotten to the point with these runic shields, with some of these extra defensive items to where maybe they don't take that much damage?
It's just that everyone from Rival backed away. That is a bad location for them to take a team fight against a Merlin, dropping the Blizzard, dropping all the Dragon Breaths.
And Rongyu's boulders, they've been on point this game. They might have been worried about those in the narrow corridors as well. So you're right, there's a lot where you don't want to funnel yourselves into the Sanguine draft.
So trying to bait Sanguine in a bad position, but they're not biting quite yet. They're very content about just waiting it out and waiting for Rival to be frisky, because thus far in the set, they have overextended occasionally.
They have been. Rival have been the aggressors the entirety of this set, and it's not particularly close. Sanguine really haven't found any windows, but they have gotten a couple of those counter windows open, those responses. So that's what they kind of need to do. See if Rival will overstep again. But Arkkyl did go with the hastened ring. That's finished for him and can be a decent power spike for Freya.
A lot of attack speed, movement speed coming through from this Freya. Being able to chase on anyone now in the front line. Looking for a Pyromancer as Rival. This was Sanguine's objective to start.
CaptainTwig pulls Ronngyu in, and Ronngyu, I promised he was there a moment ago, but he vanishes, melted under Arkyl's damage. Horus is taken to the sky, and they all go right past Haddix on the Jormungandr, but they can't lock down Panitom. He has the blink and should be out.
I think Rival are very happy about what they got, though. They able to secure out Ronngyu. They don't worry about any pulls, any pushes, and they still have the Frenzy for this objective.
Yeah, that's a SoundCloud mixtape, man. This is fire. Let's start it up as the Rival have it pulled, but the ring spawned. They might be ready to drop it for now. I think Rival are looking more for the fight than for the objective, but they've got Anhur and Freya. They can burn an objective.
They definitely can, but they're worried about the counter-aggression from Sanguine. If they're going to lose Freya and Anhur anyway after securing the Fire Giant, then what is the real reasoning to secure it? It's not as though Sanguine is going to secure it if you leave the area. They don't have the necessary damage to burn it through.
So instead, Rival fall back, but it looks like Sanguine might disagree. Haddix has started up the objective. There's no way that fineokay doesn't know, but fineokay's the only one here. He has Defender of Olympus though. CaptainTwig is on the way, but it's a 2v4. This is a risky fight for Rival to take. fineokay runs away on the right-hand side. In comes the mounted archery, and Panitom gets the credit. They force Rival's hand.
They did get one kill, but what else can they get from it? At least a tier 1 tower in this solo lane, while PandaCat was all the way on the left side of the map. Sanguine really took advantage of Rival's mispositioning there. There's still a lot of life in this team.
There absolutely is. What a call from Sanguine. I love that because I do think if it's just fineokay, they can threaten to take the objective. And if you do bring in Twig, it's a 4v2 in their favor. That, I mean, just about every scenario comes up Sanguine there.
They definitely saw Rival back. They identified with that ward next to the blue buff that it was only fineokay.
They want another one.
Defense.
They want another fight here totally, but they can't quite find the initiation that they wanted. PolarBearMike not as juicy of a target as he was early on in the game. Pull doesn't land either.
I thought that pull was connected.
It looked good, didn't it?
Good timing from PBM to escape in that one. And with the advantage here with fineokay now respawning, I think Rival can chase out Sanguine.
And fineokay has teleport to ward, so he can come into the backline just like he did. Lord of the Afterlife only really finds Haddix, but this should be a collapse for Team Rival in the front line. Haddix goes to the ultimate to disengage. Ronngyu, too tanky to burn quickly. And Toli, has the window closed for Rival? I mean, they haven't been able to get any kills these last few fights.
They haven't, but this is without Arkkyl's true damage quite yet. He's still only 4 items deep, and this is almost a level 20
Is he need an Ob Shard or something in this build? It feels like he can't chew through.
I mean, his demonic grip, as long as he gets 3 hits off, that is 36% penetration, so it's almost as good as an Obsidian Shard. You could definitely still go for it, but at this point, just more attack speed. I think that we're looking for something like maybe even a relic dagger to get more safety from his.
Maybe Divine Ruin against this Herc wouldn't look too bad either as a pen option for him.
He's been using a lot of his ultimates defensively instead of offensively, so if he could just secure a kill with that ultimate.
That might be the look that he's going for there as Rival now have the positioning around the Fire Giant. Sanguine have a couple members nearby, Sheento on the way, as is Panitom. But this Fire Giant being burst down quickly. Twig has the taunt, but they're sticking on the objective. Boulder comes through, Fire Giant low, and Rival secure it, but Netrioid gets the kill onto Arkkyl. They're gonna pull PandaCat back in as well. That's a double kill now for Netrioid, and Sanguine not done with the aggression. They can't lock down any Arrival, but they've already done all the work.
Did I call it or did I call it?
You called it, Tony.
They got the Fire Giant, but they lose both Arkkyl and PandaCat, so there's basically no point in securing it. Now gonna lose their tier 2 middle tower, maybe even the Phoenix, depending how Sanguine want to approach this.
Wait, Sanguine got walked over in 23 minutes in game 1, right? This is the same team. We didn't bring up 5 different dudes. This is what I'm talking about, man. This Sanguine roster doesn't take those losses to heart. That is already out of their memory, and they're ready for game number 2, threatening the mid-Phoenix. Rival only have 3 members, and that's the Firebird down. Sanguine are the ones that crack open the base of Rival first.
Rival just a little bit too frisky, and now it's Sanguine in complete control. Even though they don't have the goalie, they have complete map control with the fire minions in the middle lane.
Oh, but Sanguine want to collapse. Rival might have come too far out of the base. PolarBearMike trying to charge the ultimate, but doesn't get away. Sheento claims his life with the damage there from the Merlin. fineokay's made his way in as well, but I think Netrioid might be too far away at this point. He can't find the slow. There's Lord of the Afterlife, Defender of Olympus is here as well, but Netrioid immune to all with the Aegis, gets taunted back in, and CaptainTwig puts him down.
I think fineokay biting off more than he can chew, trying to run away, misses the sickle strike. Panitom forced to retreat alongside Haddix. Twig here with the Defender of Olympus. Sanguine not very healthy to play defense, but they got what they needed, which was the middle Phoenix.
I like that call, though, with Rival stepping out of base. Sanguine wanted to go for that collapse, to turn around and spring a trap on them. It just wasn't quite enough damage. fineokay was a man on a mission to make sure Netrioid died there, as Rival do grab a tier 2 tower in response in the same lane where the fire minions are spawning. But Sanguine are right back into this game.
They really are. Now Rival having to defend their middle lane. They're still able to secure the Gold Fury, which is nice to get those 5 and 6 items completed, but Sanguine, even with that deficit, have been looking to be contenders. They are not to be stopped here, as this minor league North American team have come to play to extend this set.
They really have, and I want to give a lot of credit to Sheento. I mean, even in game number 1, when they were getting trounced, he was relatively even in terms of his farm, was right there with PandaCat, and then here in this game, his damage has been crazy on this Merlin, following up off Ronngyu setup at Panitom. Right now, if Panitom or Ronngyu lock anyone down, Sheento's gonna be right there with the follow-up.
I think it's because Rival were focusing out Ronngyu too much this game. Like a Hercules
I agree.
support can still do a lot when behind, and we saw it from Ronngyu. He hit the clutch pulls that he needed to. He's able to amplify his teammates more with that frenzy, and Sanguine looking for a little bit of a trap potentially, but there's too many members on the left side. They need to see what Rival's gonna do with that Pyromancer.
Well, they're not too worried yet. Fire Giant's still a good bit away from spawning here at this point. I mean, 2 minutes left on the buff itself, another minute, I suppose, about on the back end of that as well. so they don't have to worry too much about losing the actual big objective as Rival grabbed the Pyromancer. That's why I like this call. And PBM has to be careful. He can get pincered. fineokay is going to teleport in to try and help as well as the tier 2 tower still stands, but PolarBearMike being shredded by Sheento's damage.
Oh, I think he might even die to that last breath, but in goes CaptainTwig.
And fineokay was there as well. Gets the Defender of Olympus. Netrioid, the first one to fall. Ronngyu doesn't want him feeling lonely, will be the next one to join. And fineokay, not done getting aggressive, puts the pressure onto Sheento. Those are his speeds. And there's the taunt as well. fineokay with another kill as rivals start to walk all over Sanguine.
You win as a team, you lose as a team, Finch. And that push coming through from Sanguine was without Haddix. He was in the middle lane, shoving that tower a little bit further, or the wave rather, to get closer to the Titan room, and Rival not hesitating for a moment.
And I got baited the same way that Sanguine did. You think it's just PBM over there on the left-hand side, that's an easy kill, but you forget Defender of Olympus, you forget fineokay as the teleport, and all of a sudden you're outnumbered.
And then coming back into the mix was also PBM, using that to the skies, and Rival can actually end it right here, right now.
They're pulling in Haddix, he is able, no he can't get the ultimate off. Rival, take care of him, and they're gonna go right to the Titan room. Totally, you might be right. Rival want to make their way to the semifinals. They're done with Sanguine and moving on.
Congratulations to the SPL #1 seeded team dismantling the North American minor league team. But honestly, give a lot of credit to Sanguine for showing up here today. It was a long journey for them with multiple SPL team victories, but they couldn't get it done today against Rival.
And that's a tough matchup for them too, man. This Rival team is just one of the best out there. That's why they're the #1 overall seed. It was always going to be an uphill battle, but that game #1 trouncing really hurt them to lose that game in such a bad fashion. Even when they bounced back in game #2, though, it only took one team fight, and Rival sealed up the set.
Yeah, Rival looked very good in game #1, and honestly, Sanguine bounced back in game #2.
They did.
Because most teams wouldn't be able to like check into game #2 after that kind of a loss. So a lot of credit there. I think that Rival can still be happy about this win, but there's still some things to discuss because it wasn't 100% clean.
You're right. There's a little bit more to clean up, and you do have to wonder if maybe it's a slightly stronger team that they're going up against. Would they have gotten punished more in that situation? But at the end, I mean, a 2-0 is a 2-0. A W is a W. If you're Rival, you can't have asked for much more than that. They cleaned this one up quick. They now get a chance to watch everybody else play throughout the day and see what kind of tricks they got.
And this is the confidence Rival needed to make it to day #2, was with a 2-0, because the way they lost to Armada and MSI, the way PBM and PandaCat lost to Trifecta in Season 5 Worlds, they've been taking some of these teams for granted earlier on, but not taking Sanguine for granted today.
You're right. I mean, this is a team that has had a lot of regular season success. PandaCat and PolarBearMike are two of the most successful players over the last 2 years that I can think of as a duo. Even the last 3 years with United win that World Championship. But then they kind of flounder sometimes at big tournaments. MSI, last Worlds, like you said. I think coming in and getting this victory cleanly over Sanguine should do a lot for them in terms of dealing with their mental hurdles.
And the way they did it, the early pressure on the solo lane game #1, and then transitioning that to dual lane pressure in game #2. They came in with a game plan with PBM's aggressive Serqet, switching things up with the Horus. They look very clean in this set. We'll see how they do in day 2.
And that was despite Sheento having a really good game. I think Ronngyu really improved from game #1 to game #2 on that Hercules play. He was doing a great job facilitating. Panitom had a slow start, but his game 2 was a lot better too. But Rival was able to overcome all of that, stay clear-headed. I mean, and that play in left to just run it down Sanguine, to collapse on them. That's the kind of plays that can win you championships.
There was a lot of aggression back and forth. And then just to go over the draft as well, like Neith. When was the last time we saw Neith at the competitive level here? Like, I'm thinking back to like MLC stuff, bringing it out there alongside Yaman in that Season 2 semifinals matchup. So very diverse in their play, very diverse into their God Pool selection. I'm excited to see how Rival go for day 2.
I don't think that they gave up too much information in terms of this draft, but it certainly is keeping a lot, I would say, close to chest here at this point. Now, we do have standing nearby here an interview. It's Dave Dulcet Olsen on the desk, or on the stage with CaptainTwig.
Thank you very much, Finch and Tolian. What a way to start off this weekend, standing by with CaptainTwig of Team Rival. Unpredictable, maybe, with Sanguine on the other side. Kind of a Cinderella story coming out of that placement week. What's it like preparing, going up against Sanguine, a team that you might not have played against all that much?
Well, it was definitely, we kind of expected what they did. Game 1, We saw they had a rough time against SK in the early games, but we knew that they could kind of bring it back late game, and they were a really good team playing team. And game 2, there was definitely a couple moments where, I mean, they had the edge on us, and we realized we could lose the game. So.
And obviously very different. Obviously used to the LAN environment up in Alpharetta at our studio. What's it like playing here at High Res Expo in front of this crowd?
It's amazing. Playing in front of a crowd is the best feeling you could ever really want as a player, and the crowd is already crazy. First game of the day. I mean, it's crazy. I love it.
I think I saw some fat heads down there for you guys. They were cheering you on the entire way. Dignitas, Pittsburgh Knights, that's who you're going up against, the winner of that matchup. Do you prefer it one way or the other?
I don't really mind. They're both really good teams, both super talented. I think it could go either way. So, I mean, I'm hoping that Nate wins just because I'm a good friend of his, Ataraxia, and basically whoever wins, wins. We'll respect them either way.
Well, big congrats to you guys. What a way to start off this weekend. We'll be seeing Team Rival back in action tomorrow against the winner of our next quarterfinal right after this break.